الاتحاد الدولي لمهندسي اللاندسكيب إفلا هو كيان موجود في 80 دولة في العالم. مهمته باختصار هي النهوض بصناعة اللاندسكيب وتنظيم دور العاملين في الصناعة وتحفيزهم على ابتكار الحلول الذكية في قطاع التطوير العقاري. والنهاردة في أول مؤتمر للجمعية المصرية أسلا في ماونتن فيو 1، رئيس الاتحاد الدولي لمهندسي اللاندسكيب الدكتور برونو ماركيز كان حريص إنه يكون موجود معانا في أول مؤتمر للجمعية. تعالوا بينا نقابله. Can you please tell us more about IFLA?
Sure. So the International Federation of Landscape Architects was established in 1948 in Paris. And the federation represents professional bodies from different countries.
In how many countries?
So 80 different countries.
In 80 different countries, yes.
And our latest new members are actually the Egyptian Society of Landscape Architects and the Saudi Landscape Architecture Association. We just welcomed them last year to our membership.
But today is the first event organized by the Egyptian Society, right?
That's correct. So we have been supporting the growth of the Egyptian Society. So this goes back at least 20 years, if I'm not wrong, where we started providing support to establish the first educational programs in landscape architecture. And I think over the last 10 years was when mostly we started to think about if we would have a national member in Egypt, what would that be? So was primarily trying to gather all the professionals that already exist in Egypt and trying to work with them.
How long have you been working with the Egyptian
At
members?
least for 8 years, I think.
For 8 years?
Yeah.
To start the society
To
here
start
in
the
Egypt.
society here in Egypt.
Is this a normal period you take in every country?
Oh, it varies so much. You know, some countries, goes much quicker. Other countries go much slower.
The thing that matters is that you do it right.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to rush those things. You want to make sure that the right motivation is there. You want to make sure that they have the legal support in whatever country they are at, and we are there to support their journey.
The society is now 76 years old. How did the society evolve over these years?
So the profession has different challenges in different countries, but primarily there's a couple of challenges that are common: visibility, recognition, and advocacy. It's very important to understand that the training of an architect versus the training of a landscape architect is very different. Landscape architects are trying to understand natural systems. They are trying to understand ecology. They are trying to understand botany, which are things that architects are not trying to. It's very important that landscape architects are around because they can understand the built environment and the different layers of the landscape, but the training is rather different. So I think the issue of perception is a critical one. So those are generally the problems that we need to navigate from countries where problems may be perceived as very minimal, but other countries where there's still a lot of ground that needs to be covered.
How do you plan to support the Egyptian society to evolve and to develop?
So we do a lot of educational standards, education recognition and accreditation of programs. We do a lot of exchange of academic staff from countries. And then in a later level, what we also help with is to put pressure in local governments.
How do you plan to do this?
So we generally set up meetings with your ministries. We show them how the profession has evolved. We show them examples of where the profession actually is heading into, what type of projects are people doing or addressing. We have also statistics that show the growth of the profession, the income of landscape architects. So there's a wealth of information that we have access to.
Data mainly.
Yeah,
data is power.
Yeah, exactly. We have numbers. We can show them, look, the profession has grown to this point. We know the average income of each country. I can tell you that where I'm coming from in New Zealand, landscape architects are better paid than architects by 10 to 15%.
Fairly appreciated.
Well, it is because ultimately what you're trying to do is to preserve nature and to preserve access to biodiversity. So it's through nature that we're going to address some of the critical issues that the world is facing.
How do you integrate landscape with sustainability to have a better future for the world?
There's a tendency to import plants from across the world where they are used to different climates, different soils. So we try to raise awareness that sometimes you must go with what's local because those plants are far more suitable to address the local climate. You know, issues around droughts or flood generally local plants are far more acquainted with that sort of environment. So we also try to look into how can we better preserve access to water, you know.
Reserve resources in general.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how can we make sure that whatever we do in design can actually endure the conditions of here?
Going local is the main target.
Absolutely,
mentioned.
absolutely.